Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Stickle. I'm also joined by my colleagues Jim Patterson and Paul Estabrooks. Jim and Paul will be today's presenters and will discuss the topic of NextGen PPM on the Microsoft platform. Embrace the power of choice. This webinar is a new addition to our series of adaptive webinars, so if you enjoy this video, feel free to watch the others we have available on our channel and look towards the next installment, which we'll be releasing soon. And as always, I hope that today's presentation grants you some insight into the world of project and portfolio management and gets you excited for the new developments happening within the industry and here at OnePlan. Thank you again, and I'll now turn the presentation over to Jim.
Thanks, Robert, and welcome everybody. We're excited to bring you this topic, as we always are. These are exciting times for folks that are doing project and portfolio management and are committed to the Microsoft platform. Changes are afoot, they have been afoot, and we're here to talk to you about what those embody and what options you may have for the capabilities you may be looking for, and the fact that there is a power of choice on which direction you go and how you use these things. So this next generation, I think, is going to be a good step forward for all of us. So let's get started. You know, we present on these topics because this is our passion. You know, even though we have a number of Microsoft Gold Partner certifications, project and portfolio management is where we live. And it's shown by the fact that we've been recognized again just recently by Microsoft as their Global PPM Partner of the Year, here again in 2022. We're committed to this, we're committed to our partnership with Microsoft, and we're committed to the customers in delivering value in this realm. And we even get recognized by the folks like Gartner and Infotech, the analysts, or Scaled Agile Inc. for the folks that have more agile slant for the work that we're doing, both as a thought leader and the intellectual property and the technology that we're bringing to the marketplace. So let's start talking about where Microsoft is on this whole modern work management and project management vision. Their vision for their new offerings is that teams should get to work the way they want. Executives should get the results that they need. And the idea here is that Microsoft Project needs to evolve, and it needs to empower companies to achieve better results by aligning investments with projects and resources, working with more agility and flexibility, more collaborative capabilities because people are dispersed globally, and also using more intuitive and consistent tools on the Microsoft Cloud platform, hence their new offering. And it's meant to address what is viewed as modern work management challenges. So a problem is that work is happening everywhere all the time, and we end up losing track because it's all over the place. And getting the big picture solution and of all work and all tasks to a portfolio of projects and work across multiple services is really what we need to provide. Teams choose their own tools to work the way they want, you know, more agile approaches, hybrid approaches, folks still doing waterfall. The solution is to be able to collaborate on projects with flexible methodologies and familiar Microsoft tools. Our casual project managers are the occasional ones, you know, the ones that, you know, aren't necessarily formally trained as project managers. And even the younger workforce, they want simple visual tools to work. They're used to an app culture on mobile devices where you install an app and you start working with it right away. So the solution is to provide something you can start fast with and have simple interfaces and modern web experiences. The business processes cut across functions and systems, meaning these are cross-functional across the organization, and be able to run an end-to-end business process with all participants requires not siloed solutions or siloed tools that have pockets of this information where it is. And just compliance, being able to do this stuff on a cloud platform that's secure and complies with the things that we all need to comply with. So this is some of the things that the modern work management with Microsoft and what they're trying to address. Now, bridging the work management gap, that's about that idea that we all manage projects, but we're all not trained to do so. So we may get dubbed a project manager, even though that may not be what we're formally trained to do. We believe collaboration is critical, but it's chaotic and always happening everywhere, meaning that this distributed stuff with all these different tools and silos of information can make it hard to harness it all. We want to manage work our way, but legacy tools we use don't allow it. As we move to more agile structures, the things we have in place may not be conducive to work the way we need to for the methodology of the framework that we're adopting. Hence, teams start choosing their own tools to succeed that aren't maybe the standard fare that's given to us by our companies. You know, with the advent of the cloud, access to other tools is easy, and we end up with this shadow IT of a lot of different tools. So we want to use our data effectively, but it's a mess because we have different pockets of information, different tools, different spreadsheets. And the reporting, if we get it at all for a complete picture, is a manual mashup, and then we have to boil it down into a form and format that's digestible. And that can be a project in and of itself. We need to make better decisions, but no one has the big picture. And that's just a byproduct of the other aspect that we just talked about. So Microsoft's future vision, they announced quite a while ago that Microsoft Project Online, which has been their de facto PPM solution for quite some time now, is no longer the future. They're not investing anymore in capabilities in Project Online. It's all moving to this new platform and capability. It's being reimagined, if you will. And so that's been announced, and encouraging people in this blog that we have here to think about making that change when the time is right for you, because this is not going to be the long-term future for Microsoft's project and portfolio management aspirations. So with Project Online based on a SharePoint or SharePoint Online foundation being the basis of which many of you have here in the Microsoft ecosystem, what is the future is moving more towards this new project for the web based on a Power Platform and potentially leveraging Power Apps. This is more geared towards what we're going to focus on as part of today, as far as the direction for more traditional PPM or PMO type needs. There is an avenue in Dynamics called Project Operations, but that's more geared towards a specific use case. Professional services organizations that have to have billable projects to clients, or heavy chargeback capabilities, or things like that. We're not going to focus on that today, but that is an option if that is the profile that you have. So this new avenue is based upon Microsoft Project for the Web. And as you can see here, there's Gantt charts or timelines available to you. There's boards for more Kanban style interaction with your plans and your schedules. And there's even more grid or more spreadsheet-like usage of that as well. So you have flexible ways that you can deal with the data. It's really designed to be a more simple, modern interface. Doesn't do everything that Microsoft Project Professional on the desktop does, but it does the basics. And the key here is it provides a fresh new modern experience, makes it easy for people to get in, collaboration made easy with things like co-authoring. And it's an intelligent planning and an innovative platform for us to work on. But what you're looking at right here is just a scheduling tool that's basically browser-based. Now, it is built not on the old SharePoint Online foundation like Project Online. It is built on the Power Platform and uses the Dataverse repository as its repository for its information. Now, this Power Platform that Project for the Web is built on, we may be already using some of the things that are already in here. Power BI, many of you are already using that for reporting and dashboards and analytics. Power Automate for workflow automation and business process automation and light integrations. Power Apps, which is the low-code, no-code platform so that we can get applications up quickly of our own choosing and without necessarily having developers at our hip. This is the platform that this new Project for the Web is built on. So separate and distinct from that SharePoint-based foundation that Project Online is on. Now, if you're wondering, this Power Platform is one of Microsoft's strategic initiatives. If you're on the fence about whether even to dabble in this thing, Satya Nadella himself said that it is core to what they're doing as a company. So you would be moving in a direction that Microsoft considers strategic. Now, this Project for the Web, you can store schedules in those like you would with Microsoft Project. It just stores the data in Dataverse rather than on your desktop or in a SharePoint-based repository. And you could use it as your own personal schedule files, potentially, like you would open up your own schedules and open it up from Dataverse. But that's not where the power is. The power is because of the fact it's in a repository, you can bring this together in solutions. And in the Microsoft realm, that really is about Power Apps and bringing that Power App together to have things like portfolios and programs and maybe even project requests, and provide these things into a solution as opposed to just a collection of schedules. And this low-code, no-code platform is a great thing. It allows people to do a lot of different things these days, but this notion of building your own from scratch solutions in this low-code, no-code platform, a lot of folks don't have the appetite to do that. And hence, we're proud to say that OnePlan was integral in developing for Microsoft an accelerator or a pre-built Power App solution for that called the Accelerator or the PPM or Project Accelerator. And it provides and layers onto those project for the web schedules things like a project portfolio, the ability to aggregate them into programs, a project request area, etc., and make it more of a solution from which you can expand upon. But it's pre-built so that you can get going. And if we think about what's included in that, just based from Microsoft, first and foremost, it's based on project for the web, and those project for the web capabilities in and of itself in the green here, you can actually create a project and you can put your tasks on there and build a plan. Now, by adding on the purple aspects, which is the Power App component, you can then layer in things like issues, risks, and change requests, status reports, governance, some KPIs potentially, etc. And even have a project request area that can be actually promoted into projects at a certain point in time. And then the ability to aggregate projects into programs. So the base accelerator gives you these capabilities, as well as a native feed to a report pack to give you dashboards and reports in Power BI. So this is what you get out of the box from Microsoft with the Project Accelerator as an overall solution. Now, that may meet the needs of many of you, but the folks like Gartner and others see that there's critical capabilities, and organizations that have a little bit more maturity want other capabilities. They want to be able to do more financial management, resource capacity planning, some additional project portfolio management with things like what if scenarios, time management and timesheets, and those types of things are things that people are looking for, just to name a few. And hence, the future of this can be reached by enhancing what's been done with the accelerator that was built by OnePlan, by adding some OnePlan capabilities into that accelerator and used in conjunction with Project for the Web and Power Apps. So if we think about the items that I said were in the base accelerator solution with Project for the Web, if we add in the blue the things that OnePlan brings to the table, now we're looking at things like strategic planning and strategic alignment, additional portfolio capabilities and visualizations and analytics, prioritization and what if analysis, detailed financial planning and tracking, resource capacity planning, even things like a My Work area where individual contributors can update all their tasks in one place, and even a timesheet. This is just capabilities that we bring to the table, and there's even more than this actually. The other piece here is it extends this power of choice we're talking about. So you have a choice to extend this with OnePlan, but also OnePlan also opens up with its connector capabilities the ability to use more than just Project for the Web as your scheduling tool. At the execution level, those of you that really like using Microsoft Project Professional on the desktop, we give you the ability to feed Project Professional plans into this and use Project Professional as your scheduling tool, not just be limited to Project for the Web. We also, for you Agile folks, allow you to use your use of Azure DevOps to bring those Agile projects into the portfolio, into this solution, and leverage that as an execution tool. Or you may be using all three of these, and even bring in tools that are non-Microsoft, things like Jira, ServiceNow, whatever it might be. And the idea is that you can extend not only capabilities in the blue there, but you can choose that power of choice on the execution tools you would use to feed into that portfolio. And we do that not as custom code that we write one-off for integrations. We actually have an integration platform that allows you to have connectors that are pre-built and just configured the way you want to bring in data from things like Azure DevOps or Jira or Project for the desktop, or even IT service management tools like ServiceNow, or CRM systems like Dynamics or Salesforce, even different ideation sources. And financial ERP integration is part of that as well. Now, the other part of this power of choice is the ability to use different methodologies. And in this case, this graphic is indicating that you might use a combination of maybe Agile projects, more waterfall projects, or maybe even hybrids that are feeding up into that portfolio. And this combined solution with OnePlan supports that and allows you to do that. On top of that, the tools you use to do that, OnePlan has its own planning tools internally. You could decide if those are sufficient for you, or if you want to continue your use of things like Azure DevOps or Jira or Project or Office 365 Planner, you can continue to do that. Once again, the power of choice here is paramount. The key would be leadership could get rolled up into the portfolio the way they want to see it, by programs or strategies or different portfolios or corporate goals or organization business units, whatever it might be. But the teams can continue to work with the tools that make sense for them at the execution level, but leadership will get what they want, part of that Microsoft vision. Now, even if you go to a full agile type of approach in there's still needs and value that one plan brings to the party, because the teams, the language they speak and the way they manage their projects are things like burn-ups and burn-downs and velocity and cumulative flow and things like that that really make sense for them at that level. But leadership may still be talking the language of the business as opposed to agile. And they may want to see more financial metrics. They may want to see more things on deliverables and when things are going to be brought to market or be delivered to the customer. And one plan bridges that gap and allows you to have the best of both worlds here. So one plan as a tool really can connect you from the strategic level all the way down to execution, and with choices of how you do that every step of the way. So things you might provide is a full portfolio that's more robust in the way you can visualize the portfolio and bring in from that into that portfolio plans from a variety of different tool sets. Prioritization methods that allow us to use that prioritization in what-if analysis. Using the portfolio in a Kanban board style for the more agile folks that like to do things like program increment planning. Product roadmaps, which is a way to visualize your portfolio in a way, especially for product-oriented companies that like to see these things from a delivery perspective and when things are going to happen roadmap-wise. A portfolio tree hierarchy that allows us to build more than just program level into here and build a structure and a hierarchy as flexible and as deep as you want it to be. Also, resource capacity planning, a consistent way to look at, are we overcommitting our resources? Also a set of tools to balance those resources to make sure that we're not overburdening some and underutilizing others. Be able to do resource negotiations with a process that has byplay between the project managers and the resource managers to get to a consensus on how we're going to deploy our resources on the projects. Resource prioritization, looking at selecting and timing our projects based upon our ability to deliver resources and do different scenarios to evaluate. Detailed financial planning with detailed financial categories and different cost types like budget versus forecast versus actuals, et cetera. And even plan out things like anticipated revenue and benefits. We can also do that same what-if analysis scenarios based on our financial constraints, not just our resource constraints. A My Work area where your team members can go to one place and see everything you've been assigned across the entire system through all the execution tools, tasks, backlog items, issues, risks, whatever they might be, and status those all from one place and feed those back to the projects. And a timesheet is there on board with this if necessary for the type of work that you're doing, whether it be to charge back to people, whether it be to bill, or whether it be just for collecting time for capitalization and tax credits and things like that. And then just be able to have insights. The OnePlan.ai using some AI capabilities to bring to our attention the things that we might be missing or the things that do require our attention or give us easy access to the information we need regarding the projects and the initiatives that we are involved in personally. And then status reporting. A lot of us with that manual stuff that I talked about earlier in the slides are building these things manually each and every reporting period. To be able to have project status reports formatted the way you want them to be a natural output of just managing your process and be able to maybe put your own narratives in them to supplement those and be able to have that be part of the process is a big time saver and a big labor savings for many people on this, and also gives people dynamic access to that information. Now, the next piece in here that one plan brings to the party is really extending this. And the power of choice here is, do you want to get into the more strategic portfolio management capabilities? And this is where the folks like Gartner is saying where PPM is being extended to include SPM capabilities, where we have strategies that are basically developed by the business leaders across the organization and communicated via those plans to the rest of the organization. The execution teams at the project level then align with those strategies, and even in the selection of the projects we're going to do, factor in those strategies and whether we're aligned with the priorities of the organization. And the technology, the IT leaders, the assets, the business capabilities, the applications, how are we aligned with those and how are we impacting those with our with the projects that we look, or the strategies we're looking to succeed at. So putting these into the mix, you may have strategic execution plans for leadership, where in this case we're showing objectives and key results method to do that, and they can execute on a plan here in one plan, but we can also align it with their project portfolio, the capabilities I showed you early on, to make sure that our projects are aligned with the things that the organization wants us to be working on. On top of that, there's a need for more of an enterprise architecture type of approach in strategic alignment, where we might want to align with other things and factor in that in our decision-making process. For example, if we have a strategy or a business objective to grow revenue by 15%, there may be some key results that we actually align with to say, these are going to be the tangible measures of whether or not we're achieving those things. In turn, we may have, from an enterprise architecture perspective, to supplement that strategy, a business capability that is key to succeeding at that. And we may have to modify, improve, or enhance that capability in order to achieve that. Now that capability in the business may be dependent on applications we have running. And those applications could be, in this case, an ordering system or a picking system. And those might have to be modified or enhanced as well in order to achieve what we want. And on top of that, then we have our projects and initiatives that are aligned with all these. So we have to factor in all these dimensions if we want to succeed in this new digital age, is what the analysts are telling us. And this is a move that many organizations are taking today. Now, one plan has the capabilities to have the strategic plan within it, to have the enterprise architecture elements for alignment in it as well as your project portfolio or your portfolio of initiatives. It can handle it right within the native capabilities of one plan. And then the visualizations of how all these things interrelate get very powerful as we start making those decisions. Now, another dimension of the power of choice is that you can consume and use the capabilities of one plan in a variety of different forms. For example, it's designed to be used just directly in your favorite browser up above, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Safari, whatever it might be, and access the power of these strategic portfolio management capabilities right in your favorite browser if that's where you tend to live. But if you're invested in Power Apps and you want to go down that route with the accelerator or even a Power App of your own to add the project and portfolio management to this low-code, no-code platform, one plan is designed to be surfaced within this platform as well. If you're invested in Teams, which many of us are, one plan is a Microsoft authorized Teams application, and to combine that with the collaborative and content management capabilities within Teams, as well as being able to provide a hub with other tools you might be using, is the ability to really, add that project portfolio and work management capability right into that collaborative context. Now, if you're in Azure DevOps, not only do we share data with your backlogs and your sprint plans and such into the portfolio, one plan can actually be accessed and used right from within your use of Azure DevOps. So to extend the capabilities that you have access to within Azure DevOps can include all those one plan capabilities I talked about in those screenshots that I showed you earlier. If you're invested in Dynamics, the same thing. Dynamics is used by many people for CRM and customer engagement purposes, other business solutions, or even their finance and operations. And one plan can be used in that context as well. And SharePoint, SharePoint's been around a long time and many people are still using that. And we do have the ability to leverage and access one plan right from within SharePoint itself in conjunction with other SharePoint activities that you have for content and collaboration and other web-based tools. Now, upcoming is Microsoft's releasing, and you may be seeing some of the same stuff, of Viva, which is an employee experience platform leveraged primarily through Teams, but with things like Viva Insights, Topics, Learning, Connections, and upcoming Viva Goals. One plan will be able to be accessed right from within Viva as well. The key is leverage what you already own. Have the power of choice, but leverage what you own. One plan is built on the Microsoft cloud. It leverages your own Azure Active Directory for authentication, so you're in full control. It's a Microsoft Teams app. It's connected to the execution tools that you want. It's connected to or surfaced in the platform or the environment that you're in Microsoft. And even connects to non-Microsoft software like Jira, ServiceNow, Salesforce, aha. Once again, leverage what you already own, get more value out of that solution. The last piece of the power of choice is one plan is just not a one-size-fits-all. We have different solution options and templates to start with in one plan, whether it be strategic portfolio management, agile portfolio management, adaptive portfolio management, enterprise architecture management, etc. The idea here is that you choose what your starting point is and then configure it in a way that reflects your organization and your business process. So on many different dimensions, we have the power of choice. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Paul Estabrooks, who will demonstrate these capabilities to you and show you that they're here today and available for you.
Thank you, Jim. I have a lot to demo. So in today's demo, I'm going to start with a fairly deep dive into OnePlan itself. And I'm logged in OnePlan in a browser here. I'm in Chrome, and I'll walk through that. But I'm also going to show you. You can see some tabs across the top. Some of the other ways in which we can deploy OnePlan. Out of that, you're going to see some of the different templates and approaches that you might do, the different types of use cases that we might support as part of that implementation. To highlight that, we keep lots of different demo environments. So we have adaptive demo, there's product portfolio management, which we've talked about, the accelerator itself, professional services automation, strategic work management, or portfolio management, which is the one I'm in right now. And you can see some others that we've tested things. So different scenarios and different use cases for how the solution can be configured to support the use cases that you have, that choice. And within an organization, you might have several in the dropdown, just as I just showed, supporting different business units who follow specific methodologies or have specific requirements. How a department handles capital work or capital projects might be different than how IT works, and IT itself might have waterfall versus agile. I'm going to show that here in this demo. Likewise, your product development group would have that product development template and solution there to manage their business. So those different solutions, it's a choice exercise. It's not a one size fits all. It's not one way of doing things and everyone must adapt to that. There's a lot of flexibility here. So I'm logged into OnePlan. Here I am. I can see my insights, the things I need to be working on, and some other items. And if I just highlight this really quickly, because I think it's kind of interesting, is I can come in here and create something new. I need to create a new objective or key result, which relates to my strategy. I need to do something in the enterprise architecture where I want to add something. Or I may need to create a new project, call that a waterfall project or a new epic, something that's agile related, a new program or a new portfolio. So a lot of flexibility to choose the route I need to go and to address the things that I need. Thought I'd highlight that, again, just to sort of drive this message of choice. So some quick things here that I want to highlight. I mean, on my inbox, you could do intake. I want to quickly show that strategy piece. So you do have the option within OnePlan to configure this section of the solution where we articulate the strategy of the organization. What are we trying to accomplish and how will we know we've gotten there? What are the key results we're looking for? So I can articulate that, and later I can tie my initiatives and my investments to this strategy so I understand what we're working on and how it relates to and how it helps us get to our goals. Likewise here, I'll just quickly flash this. On the enterprise architecture, I can describe our architecture in terms of our applications and other items. I pull this up, there we go. I want my different applications, some value streams and so forth. However, we're just describing our existing assets, our architecture. So we could capture all of that here. And in fact, some people will implement this simply to manage this, to best understand where they need to make key investments, what those investments are, what the total cost of ownership is over time of their assets. So that is one way you could choose to use OnePlan. Where I want to spend the majority of the time here is in the portfolio itself. So I'm in my portfolio and I want to highlight a few things. First and foremost, if you look down the left side of this screen, this is my portfolio of all of the work that we have going on. It's organized into a series of portfolios, and underneath that, a group of programs. There's several programs in each portfolio, kind of a typical three-tiered model. But if you look inside each of those programs, that first project has a team site that it's connected to DevOps, and it's connected to Project Professional, Project on the Desktop. This next one only has a team site, so we're managing it in some other way. We're probably using the work planner built into OnePlan. This one's connected to Project Pro, but we haven't yet connected it to a team site or a SharePoint site or any of those things. SharePoint, or team site rather, this one's connected to DevOps. It's an epic, so it's an agile project. We're following an agile methodology, and it's pulling and it's bidirectionally connected to DevOps. This one doesn't have anything. It's being run by OnePlan itself. And here's one that's connected to Jira. And I could continue on down the list. Here's one connected to Planner and another one connected to Project for the Web. The message that we talk often with clients about is the way work gets managed and organized today varies across an organization, and you need to be prepared to embrace that change. We talk a lot about that in terms of that's where Microsoft's direction is as well. And here we're able to engage all of those audiences regardless of what tooling they want to use to manage their team and organize their project. Do they want to have a team site for collaboration? Do they need to tie it to SharePoint? Do they want to use a very rich project scheduling tool like Project Pro? Or are they following an agile methodology? Do they need something lighter weight like Planner or Project for the Web? Don't care. What they do need to be able to provide is some portfolio level information, and I'm going to dive into that here in just a minute, related to resource management, financial management, and financial budgets and so forth, as well as status reporting, and give resources the ability to status those tasks regardless of where they came from and what tool is ultimately being used to manage them. Embracing this power of choice is a very important thing in most organizations because it's something that every organization grapples with. So if I dive into this project, we pick on this one a lot, so I'm going to kind of get in here, is if I go to my details page, I want to highlight some things here. All of that rich information that I wanted to capture, this project is following kind of a more conventional stage gate waterfall type approach. We've created it, we've reviewed it and selected it. We're now planning it, and then we're going to execute. We've got a bunch of other information down here related to the business case and so forth. This data may have come from an intake ideation solution like a team site or something like that, or was created here and then further modified through the sort of selection and planning stage. I talked about this a minute ago, so I'll flash it here quickly, is this ability to tie this to different parts of the organization. So what objectives does this tie to? What key results does it tie to? What applications and so forth? How does this project impact those items, and to what degree, so that we can understand the total investment we're making in achieving a specific key result or an objective or into our various applications? What are we trying to do? Now, the power of one plan in terms of that choice of tooling. I don't care how you choose to run the project. I need to know what resources you need and when you need them. And so what you're seeing here, and this is a very built out scenario in this particular project, is a list of resources. You can see there are generic resources like project manager, and we've just simply stipulated what we need. And then there are people, and Gavin is a project manager on this project, and when do we need this individual? Another one's a developer and so forth. We've got some that are proposed, meaning we haven't determined we're going to use them or not, or haven't been approved by a resource manager, and the rest of which are committed. The highlighting over this tells us that this particular Daniel Williams is the character I'm in as. I'm supposed to do 8 hours in the month of February. We'll ignore the timing of this on this project, but I have a lot of other work assigned to me that would be driving why the fact that's red. So for someone scheduling and organizing the project, they instantly know as they put in this time where the conflicts may arise, I should say, and what they might then want to inquire about how to fix those. The tool supports the idea that I could request a business analyst, like you see here in the middle of the screen, and route that to a resource manager who will come into my resource plan, the overall global resource plan, and assign a business analyst to this project. I could do some of that here myself. I can come in and say, I want to do, I'm going to replace Gavin on this project. So what's my best match to replace Gavin? And here's the different people, including Gavin himself, that I might go to switch to. I could do that work, or that could be done by a resource manager by me first articulating what I need. So this is my commitment screen. I then, once I get into scheduling, have scheduling and tasks, and I may come back to that in a minute, and then I'll have timesheets, what actually occurred. And I can analyze that different data. So again, regardless of how you choose to execute on this project and how detailed a schedule you want to run, everyone can participate in providing this information at the portfolio level. Likewise, the financials. I can come in and say, what is my forecast? I'm going to jump to budget here just for a second. What is my budget for this project, and when will those costs incur? I can actually bring those costs in from that resource plan, which is why I showed it first, and populate my budget. So don't care what tool you're going to use. You don't need to have cost resources buried in a schedule. We're going to manage this in almost like spreadsheet-like format at the project level, independent of the work management tool and independent of the methodology. You want to do agile, we could still budget based on months. If you want to do waterfall, we could still do that as well. My work plan has all of those capabilities built into it. So right now I'm looking at the backlog. I'm just going to flip back to the schedule for a quick second. This is a schedule in this particular example that is actually connected to Project Professional, project on the desktop. And what we are seeing here is those tasks coming back from project. We do the scheduling in project, we assign the resources, and then we can view this here and make sure that we're tracking it accordingly. But we're going to manage and use the power of Microsoft Project on the desktop. This project is also connected to a backlog, which is a common scenario we see with a lot of organizations. Is the project is predominantly waterfall, or maybe sort of a waterfall shell, if you will, an overarching waterfall project, but within it are backlog items, are stuff being done by a team, down the hall that are doing an agile approach. And so we want to be able to manage their stuff. So we're connected here to Azure DevOps, and I'm going to dive into that a bit more later. So I'm bringing in that data from them, which sprints it's in and so forth, to understand how we're executing. And then if I look under reporting, I'm just going to quickly show a status report. Again, independent of methodology, independent of work management tool, I can still participate in the guidance of the portfolio by providing a status report and submitting that for review. So we're drawing on the data that we have within one plan from where we have it, where we can add other context and other content and provide that status report and guide that through the portfolio. I'll look at a couple of other things before I jump around to some of the different environments. The first is my work. So if I am a resource and I look at my overdue tasks, because I got lots of them, everything that's been assigned to me, whether it's a backlog item coming from a project being managed in an agile format, an item here that's in a project that's being managed, let's say in Project Desktop, a change request that's been assigned to me, a backlog, items, tasks, issues, risks, are all in here. Of items, there's an issue down there that's assigned to me on a project. Regardless of where they're coming from, I have the ability to see them here and to status them. And if I don't want to status them in a list, I can flip it over to a board and I can drag and drop stuff between the various columns as to where it belongs. Have I started it? Am I completed? Has it been deferred for some reason? So I can very quickly manage my work. I may be on projects that are being managed in multiple different tools by different people who have different approaches to things, and we're following different methodologies. To me, it's a list of items that I need to get done, and I can status those. Likewise, I can provide a timesheet. This is a common requirement we see. So bringing forward a timesheet where I can quickly describe what I am doing by day on a specific task and where that might go. This task, because it's cleverly named, is coming from the project called Planner, meaning it's a planner task. Planner doesn't even know how many hours are on that task. That's not what it manages. But if it's a part of what I'm doing in a week and I need to account for all my time, I can still complete a timesheet here, even though that project's being managed in Planner. And others that you could see here, the one right above it, it's being managed in the work plan. In our own tool, this one's being managed in DevOps. But in each and every case, I could still do time reporting. Before I jump into some of the other environments, two other things I wanted to highlight. One plan supports complete project prioritization. So again, all of that work, we have a complete picture of it. We know how all of it is tied to our strategy and where we're trying to get to. And I can come in and say, I want to prioritize. So first I could stack rank, move projects up and down, literally move that project up and down where it is in the list. Or I can constrain on budget. I could say, or resources. I'll just quickly show budget. We have a budget target of 5 million. We got 8.5 million in here. We're over allocated on some things. If I shrink that, whoops, went the wrong way. If I shrink that down, I could start to move projects around to change where they appear against the budget. I could start to take projects out if it's on hold. Maybe we're not doing it. I'll just take that proposed one out and so forth. As I do, the calculation down below is being updated to show the impact of that decision. This is a what-if scenario. So full prioritization, independent of methodology, independent of work management tool, because we have that common information all along. And then bringing it full circle, two kind of quick things. Using Power BI, rich reporting. You really want to see how you're progressing against your portfolio or your objectives, I should say. Here's how we're progressing. Maybe I want to go and look at my portfolio summary. I want to drill into one of the portfolios specifically and see how it's progressing, look at it from a status perspective. At this level, I don't know what tools were being used to manage it, but I have a complete picture of how it's playing out. And I can track all of that. I've shown you all of this in the browser. Here's that same environment sitting in Teams. And here you could see we have an agile portfolio management, we have an agile PMO, we have strategic portfolio management PMO. I'm in the EPMO one right now. I could have some other ones in here. You can see the SharePoint and the team sites for some of those projects that I was pointing to earlier. This is a complete solution inside Teams. Here it is inside Azure DevOps. I'm looking again at that same portfolio where I could do timesheets from inside DevOps itself. I can do my resource planning, my work. We get calls almost every day on this from clients trying to manage some of these items in DevOps. Some where they want to merge it with a world of waterfall. Some where they just want to be able to do timesheeting and resource management right here in DevOps. There is that exact capability. It's embedded within the DevOps frame, leveraging data in DevOps as well. We want to go to some of the boards and so forth. I could get to work items that are the ones tied to right here. If I jump over to another browser just quickly, here is an agile portfolio running inside SharePoint. So underneath my strategy, I have my portfolios, my value streams. I'm in the analyzer right now. I have ideation. I can manage work, my roadmaps, and so forth. I am literally managing this using SharePoint. And then finally, one of the more popular ones that we see today is a full build out inside Power Apps. So you can see in here, we've got our objectives and key results and our strategy laid out. We have a whole bunch of stuff on input, our workplace, the my work, my timesheets. There they are as Power Apps, challenges and other ideation, and then my portfolios themselves, all the way down to the analyzer and resource plans. All of that capability. So if I jump into my projects here, and quickly, I'll just pick a project. You can see now we're leveraging Power Apps to present all of that same information, my detailed pages, my business case, and then there is one plan embedded within a Power App delivering that core resource capabilities while we use Power Apps also to do risks, issues, changes, and other things. So if you're investing in Power Apps, this is a very rich, ready-built portfolio management solution leveraging the Power Apps platform. If you're on SharePoint and want to stay there, we can embed in that, and it's a wonderful solution with a lot of rich forms and rich capabilities. If you want to do this inside Teams, it's another popular one. There it is. It's a Teams app right in the left nav, as we mentioned earlier. Lots of different ways you can go about this. We want to leverage the investments you've made both in work management tools, in the methodologies that you've trained on and implemented, in the processes and so forth, as well as the infrastructure you've invested in. If you're in Teams, we're there. If you're in Power Apps or going there, we're there too. Or if you want to do it in a browser, we're certainly there. Lots of choice up and down the solution and up and down the methodologies and templates that you might want to use. And with that, Jim, I'll turn it back to you.
Terrific. Well, let's summarize what we've gone over today and then talk about some next steps. Microsoft is in the process of reimagining Project and Project Online, and that the new Microsoft solution is built on the Power Platform. The new Microsoft PPM accelerator built by OnePlan Solutions helps augment that and make it into a full-blown solution. Now, the new Microsoft solution does not have full feature parity with what you're used to with Project Online, but in combination with OnePlan, it extends the Microsoft platform and even goes beyond the capabilities of Project Online and provides you more than you're used to having and in a more modern context. OnePlan also provides you the choice of execution tools. OnePlan also adds strategic portfolio management capabilities so you can align with things like products, applications, strategies, other pieces like that, and factor in those dimensions into your portfolio management process. And you can choose where you access OnePlan in what environments, whether it's Power Apps, Teams, Azure DevOps, etc. So a lot of flexibility there, and once again, a lot of power of choice. Now, we do these webinars almost every week. We're currently working on what the next ones are going to be, but if you go to oneplan.ai/webinars, there's a rich library of on-demand webinars. If you like what you saw here today, there's a whole lot of other topics in there that you might be interested in, and we'll have some live ones for you to register on here very shortly. Now, if you want to trial what you saw on OnePlan today, we do have a lot of different trial templates. So if you go to AppSource, Microsoft's AppSource at appsource.com and search on OnePlan, There's a lot of different pieces there on strategic portfolio management, adaptive portfolio management, agile portfolio management, etc. And you can try those. And if you come through AppSource, we'll get notified. And if you want, we can actually help chaperone you through this so that you can get the most value out of your trial. We also offer a free roadmap workshop. So if you're just curious of what it would take, how you would leverage what you already own, we're happy to walk through a basic review of your current use of solutions and tools, what your current requirements are, maybe some of your desired future state that you'd like to get to. And we can help guide you and give you some information on what it would take to get you into that and what the best roadmap for adoption might be and what total cost of ownership might be. And you might find it's only incremental because we'll be leveraging a lot of what you already own. So for next steps, the free trial, we encourage you to take that, the roadmap workshop, or Paul gave you a very generalized demo, high level today. If you want a more personalized one-on-one demo, more geared towards your requirements and your needs, and a little bit more of a deeper dive, let us know. You can reach out to us at contact@oneplan.ai. You can research more about our solutions at www.oneplan.ai. The real fact of the matter is we would love to engage with you and help you get the outcomes that you're looking for. You know, we pride ourselves in being invested in success, and that means invested in your success. So please reach out to us. We would love to engage. You can either contact the general contact email, or you could contact Paul and I directly if you like, if you have some things you'd like to speak to us with directly. So with that, I'd just like to thank you for your time today, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.